Mike, turn your games down.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another mini episode of Games My Mom Found. I am Mike Hubbard, and who's all excited for Dead Space 4 with me tonight?
Nate, back again.
And Cody, Swampborn of the House, Laveau, professional, exotic, animal wrangler, warden of the Riverlands, bender of limbs, winter soldier, gentleman adventurer, handsomest man, 20-something or other. I'm coming back, don't you worry. A TikTok star, apparently, breaker of hearts, treasure hunter, friend to every single animal on the face of the planet Earth, father of Grovers. Yes, the Acadian Nightmare, the Crescent City Saint, the Mississippi Miracle, your favorite crippler and mine, the Cajun Crippler, Cody Laveau, and author of books about Korean dragons. That's something I need to add onto my list. Have y'all been following that? This thing is getting ridiculous. I love it. I love it, my guy.
I'm excited for you.
I am so excited for this.
What were you funded in less than a week?
Yeah, I was funded in It was like 8 days. I got to 7,000. Yeah. And subsequently on the Kickstarter, as of checking it now, and I know that's, I don't know how long the episodes, take for minis and stuff like that, but I'm right underneath $9,600, like just shy of it. As of
nice. This will be out in November or December, so not anytime too soon.
Okay, well then the Kickstarter will have been funded by the time that you listen to this, and I will be hard at work on this episode. So
just before you release this, just call Cody up on a one-on-one and just splice in whatever number he reads.
For anyone listening to this, the Kickstarter was a great was a great awesome thing, and we made fill in amount of money here. Dollars. It was amazing, guys. It was amazing.
The funny thing about still being there, that's weird when this gets released. I'll still say, fill in amount. I have the strange feeling. Huh?
What? I have no idea. Master of editing, Mike Albertin. Master of editing, Mike Albertin. For those of, I don't know why someone would be listening to this episode for the first time ever, and they might be confused as to what a Cody Laveau episode of this is, who I am. I am the sort of man that when I leave the Dollar General, women turn to their youngins when they see me, and they go, "You see him there, Jimmy Ray? That man right there was almost your daddy." True story.
Oh, God. All right. And we are here to talk about Dead Space 3 Awaken, because originally we didn't do the DLC.
Wait, I thought this was Majora's Mask 2 for all of the moons that were trying to eat people. I'm confused.
Okay, that's good.
Thank you.
Majora's Mask moon is way scarier.
I thought of that.
Any moon.
Majora's Mask moon doesn't have a giant dick comes out of it and grabs the other planet. So, hey, I don't know.
Well, that just tells me you haven't read my fanfic.
Hey, no fanfic from Majora's Mask will ever beat that creepypasta one about the guy with the drowned cartridge.
No, shut up.
We talked about that in episode 26
no
or
joke.
So.
That one, that is like one of the only creepypastas that is like kind of like,
it's actually
scared me.
Yeah, it's a fucked up story. Good though. Yeah. So yeah, go check that out. Well, yeah, we are here to cover the end of. We originally weren't going to do this. I had no plan to cover the DLC. The week that we recorded the episode back in September, that week they released the DLC for $5 and put it on sale, and I'm like, well, it's on sale. Fuck it, I'll buy it.
Wait,
and here we are.
$5. How much is it originally?
10.
Yeah, it was like $10 when it first came out to buy the real ending to the game, which still isn't really an ending to anything.
I still don't think that was I think the ending in the original game was better.
I like this better.
No, I definitely to me I love an ambiguous ending, like did he not, and you can fill in the blanks and you can talk to it with your friends that also played it. And then you can be like, well, I think he died. It's the reason that I love movies like Inception is that, yeah, I think that it's better if you kind of don't know. I don't know, but.
Well, the problem with this also is this came out a month after the game released in 2013. This came out in March. The game released in February. I mean, it's almost like, why didn't you just push it back and put this in the game? But I get it. Yeah.
I personally think if this was in, after replaying it, I don't think the game would have been... it wouldn't have nailed the ending for me personally. I thought where the original game ends is good. That is a good, fine stopping point.
Where you think they They stop the moon, they save the world.
Yeah, to tease out a Dead Space 4. Right. And then, the DLC, just kind of further expands upon a tease of Dead Space 4.
This got me excited for Dead Space 4.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, to me, this almost feels like it has a different tone of a game. I don't know if this is what the developers actually wanted to do and they weren't meddled with, or if they were trying to kind of set up, no, Dead Space 4 is going to be a little bit more scary than Dead Space 3, because I felt like this was scarier than the main game of Dead Space 3, or at least it was trying to be.
Yeah, I mean, you're suffering more
Unitarians,
dementia.
Yeah, so I kind of feel like, I don't know if they were kind of trying to sort of transition into what they thought Dead Space 4 was going to be, or if they were just kind of doing, I don't know, fan service for themselves or something. But this almost made sense why it was DLC rather than part of the game itself, because it just feels very different to me. But I don't know, that was just something that I noticed going back and playing this compared to just finishing Dead Space 3. Anybody?
Yeah.
Okay.
I wonder too, if, I don't exactly remember the timeline for when EA shut down Visceral, but I wonder if they kind of maybe figured the writing was on the wall, so they pushed out this DLC to maybe try to be no, look, EA, people want, they want a sequel,
I could see that. Yeah, definitely. So you think it might have been a last ditch kind of, no, this is what Dead Space 4 could be, so give us money so we can do it?
I think it kind of feels that way, because they have they introduced a new mechanic in this one for co-op where if your partner goes down, you can stasis them, and that would slow down their bleed out timer, which is that's a cool concept. And then plus you get you get more Isaac being affected by the marker again, which is really cool, especially because which I don't know if we mentioned on the other first episode, but Dead Space 4 was supposed to start where you're playing as Ellie. So Isaac comes back and So Isaac comes back and he's being affected and you're Ellie and you're I don't know what to believe, or think about this. So that could have been.
I think that's one thing I liked about this a lot too, is that I enjoyed the fact that he's being fucked with so much throughout this little DLC, where you constantly are seeing images. You have part where he's standing still talking to Carver, and all of a sudden everything turns red. You just start fighting necromorphs, and Carver's what the fuck you doing? You're just standing there, buddy. He's you didn't see me fighting? You weren't fighting.
Yeah.
It's going insane again. I miss that.
I also like him and Carver's. Yeah. I like him and Carver's relationship in this DLC. It's very they're more fond of each other. Where Carver's what the fuck is going on? And Isaac is I stopped making sense of everything on the Ishimura.
I also like the fact he's I think we're dead. I think we're necromorph. He just hits him aside the head. Fuck you, we ain't necromorph. What? In what world do you think that if you mutate in a monster, you just look at each other like you're both normal and are just walking? I don't think that's how that works.
It very well might. That would be an excellent twist. They're going nuts anyway. They might think that they're I don't know. Another creepypasta.
The first necromorph you see is Norton, and Isaac is what? You're dead. And then he transforms into the necromorph. I like that.
AAA moment, because you get to shoot him and kill him yourself this time.
Hell yeah.
AAA moment. That's part of the whole game.
Hell yeah.
Before we get too far away from the opening of it, I played on my New Game Plus save file with the foam finger weapon.
Bang, bang, bang.
Yeah, and Isaac has it equipped in that beginning section, so he's he goes to shoot the ceiling, he's just a foam finger. And I was hell yeah, this is great.
That's rad.
And I think it's just funny they end up in the giant hole. They're they don't know where they are. You don't know what the hell's going on. He's are we dead? They think they're dead. I played this a couple weeks ago. I couldn't remember what the ending was. I'm well, what happened?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is a cool concept for a DLC,
Yeah. It's also very short too, which was, I was fine with. It only, hour tops.
No, I love short games. I love something that I don't have to jump back into later, and then I have to think about, all right, what's the story leading up to that, being a dad. So anything like this where it's a contained bit of whatever the overall story was. So I think I did like it actually a little bit better than Dead Space 3 just for that fact alone, because it was so short.
Yeah, it got in, you got out. It didn't feel like it overstayed.
Hell, that's why Portal is like one of my top 5 of all time because it's like 3 hours long.
Yeah.
I beat the whole thing in one sitting, got a nice little story, felt smart, and then got out. And this thing I felt like had the very similar vibe to that, where I'd already known who all of the characters were, and shooting Norton in the face was just amazing. And
Yeah, feels good.
that was beautiful. What's
You
up?
also don't fight human in this, really.
Well, there's some
fight most
Unitarians, but they're all necromorphs, right?
Yeah, which was nice.
Yeah.
Like you have ships, like you see it, like this is the end where all the ships are leaving from the fleet from earlier and you hear like weird people talking on the radio, and like your whole plan is just we got to get a ship and we got to get out of here, and that fits that perfect space horror of just trying to escape.
Yeah,
and that's what the first game did so well, is that the whole time it's like we got to get out of here, and then you realize everything's fucked up.
I also really like that the unitologists, like some of them are just like, oh, like this is not good actually. Like we did not prepare for this. And then the other ones are like, you fucking heretics, like,
I like that.
Well,
again,
it's that classic bit of those two Nazis looking at each other and they're like, guys, are we like the bad guys here?
The bad guys.
Huh? Because like moons are like have like giant dicks and there's giant like knife monsters that are crawling out of vents, and it's kind of all of our fault. Are we not doing the right thing? Maybe, I don't know.
And I watched a whole video explaining the whole like story of 3 and like what the unitologists are up to and everything like that. All because resources are low. The whole idea. Oh, and I'm going to spoil... There's going to be spoilers... Well, we already spoiled, but I'm also going to spoil another series of games, Mass Effect, before I open my mouth, so just be warned. The whole point of these moons, apparently, which I don't know if it's in the game or not, but it was told to me in a video I was watching, is that they stay dormant for so many years, and then when a population moves far enough along technologically, they find the marker, they use the marker when they run out of energy, and then they resummon the moons, they kill everyone, they restart the process over again.
Very eldritch horror, which I love, which is kind of a story as old as time, and I absolutely love that story because I mean that's sort of the book of Revelation, really, right? Is like man gets far enough, and they or hell, back to Noah and the flood, right? I mean that's like one of the oldest stories ever. That's kind of the same thing. Is like everybody gets really really wicked, and then God floods the earth and kills everybody off except for like 6 people. And then it starts over. So I think naturally people have sort of looked at that in any kind of Armageddon type of scenario and written it out there, So I feel like Mass Effect did it, but it's a lot of people have done this, and they do it because it's incredibly compelling.
But that's what it reminded me of. That whole idea is that
very much.
I like how this DLC is broken up because like your first objective is get a ship, and you get out into space, and you have to get into another ship to try to scavenge for parts to find a ship that will get you back to Earth. Like the whole idea is you're just trying to get to Earth.
Which I know on our first episode I was confused if Isaac was like going to sacrifice Ellie or if he was the one who was like, okay, we'll give you the codex. He confirms in this one because he's like, the marker is like telling him like, take us to Earth, Isaac, take us to Earth. And he's telling Carver, we cannot go to Earth. Like he's basically saying like, I am fucked up enough to where if we go to Earth, they are going to follow us, and we will have killed. Like we will basically doom the entire.
Yeah, you
planet.
will have doomed the Earth from doing that.
Yeah, and Carver is just like, he's like, yeah, you really didn't seem to care about Ellie back there too. You were willing to let her die, and he's like, but now you don't want her to die. And Isaac is like, hey man, I don't want to go to Earth. And then it's cool too because like. You have that fight with Carver, but it's like just a hallucination. That is so cool.
I was happy to have all that back.
Yeah. And then I really like the plot twist of like, oh, wait, duh. The necromorphs would know where Earth is. They're just trying to keep Isaac and Carver away from them because they realize that Isaac is like an actual threat. So they're just like trying to distract him and mislead him by going, we don't know where it is. Like, take us there.
I thought cool.
What is going on with Earth too? What's the story there? I feel like it's like we saw the last of the army period or the last of the government. but at the end he like calls him back and he's like, "Hey, government, what's going on?" It's like,
I
Stupid.
think Earth is like still, it's still like whole basically
It's
because
in
every
Civil War, essentially.
yeah, like every
Unitologists-
other
Right.
place is like out in space, so that's where the necromorphs start. But Earth is
I
still
think-
just like there. It's not,
okay,
it
kind of
hasn't
put it-
been infected yet.
The Unitologists would be, let's say here, a fringe political party that just kind of
Right.
took over and then killed everyone that didn't agree with them and just forced their way in saying they're right, essentially.
well, that's just ridiculous. That's historically that's never happened.
Never
This
happened.
is clearly science fiction.
Yeah. So that I think is what's supposed to be going on, and because they're having a crisis of the energy crisis, and they are worried that they're going to die. So this whole idea of the moons connecting them and them being able to survive and be one, that's what is making them stupid. And also the marker was sent to Earth before there even were Neanderthals. Has been there forever, and then it was supposed to be putting off a signal that was corrupting the humans to do what it wanted them to do eventually, where when they do find it, they've already been subjugated to the marker, is the whole like idea of this, I guess. Where that located is, I don't know.
And are there theories or any kind of thing about who actually built these markers? Because I feel like they keep trying to like say, oh, you're going to figure out who built it. And then in Dead Space 3, it was just like, oh, here's some aliens that had an ocean planet and they just froze it to stop. So you thought they were the ones that
Yeah, they
built
did.
the thing. But they didn't actually build the thing. So I didn't know if there'd
they
been
never got that. They never
theories.
got to the point.
Okay. It's just some.
It's a MacGuffin.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I feel like the Reaper, Mass
that's
Effect 3.
lame. But it's like who built the leap? Well, but there were the Leviathans in Mass Effect 3 at least, where you're like, oh, like these things are very old and they've been hiding out at the far edge of the Milky Way, hoping no one finds them. But also the Reapers look like them, so then maybe they had a hand in building them, but they're not being very forthcoming on that. But they'll still help you kill them in the DLC. Like I feel like this didn't even have that. There was like not even a unless
No,
there was
because
some
this
kind of
was not a finished story. Like they had so many more plans. Like the ending of this DLC, which you get back to Earth and they see Earth surrounded by the moons, and the moons are shoving their tentacle dicks on the Earth. Well, it looked like to me.
although
like,
the gravitational pull, I feel like would be very. Anyway, go on.
You're not wrong. I mean, that many big surfaces around each other, it wouldn't work. I don't think it'd work any real correctly.
Yeah.
So, science fiction. So, I mean, and that's the way. There's still more to talk about, but that's the way it ends. Is them seeing these moons come to Earth, and the game just ends on a cliffhanger, and it made me really upset.
Well, it ends like it even ends on like a weirder cliffhanger because you get the hallucination effect. Like after you see the moons, like that marker, effect shows up. So it's just like, well, is that actually happening, or is that just like them trying to, once again mislead Isaac?
Or are they leaving it ambiguous because they hadn't wrote Dead Space 4 by that point and they wanted to give themselves options?
Right.
And I don't think they thought it was still coming.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, God, unfortunately. That's not their.
Yeah.
One day, once we get through the remake of Dead Space 3, they'll be able to make Dead Space 4.
Oh, totally.
I'm
Yeah, no,
hoping
that's going to happen.
If the remake sells well, 4 might happen, but it's EA, so who knows?
Yeah,
I mean-
I think that they would remake 1 through 3 before they do a 4. Like, I don't think they would remake 1 and then EA would go, okay, go back and finish the original story.
No, I definitely could see them. Like, I know that the Dead Space is not nearly popular enough for this, but I feel like if they really put time into it, you could get like a Resident Evil-esque franchise out of this, where you could have different sequels that take place with different characters, but there's like the same handful of cast of maybe 6 that just sort of they rotate through, and there's like this giant amorphous evil that is being put out by the unitologist, and they're just going to various different places, and those wacky unitologists, they're up to their next scheme. So then you send Ellie and somebody else out for Dead Space 4, and then Isaac and somebody else are in 5. Like the more, and this is something that I just thought about like right now, is if there was really that fan base for it, this would lend itself incredibly well to that. But just sort of a thought, which I know is just going to make all of us sad, because we're definitely not getting a Dead Space 4 anytime soon.
And that
but it's
really
a fun
hit
thought.
me with
It's
this.
a fun thought.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of this was just EA wasn't happy. I mean, I think Dead Space could have been a franchise like Resident Evil if they just would have nurtured it right and not expected what they expected out of it. Same thing like with Square Enix and the Tomb Raider. Oh, the Tomb Raiders are all fails because they only sold 5 million copies and not 10 million copies. Like, you guys, your expectations are too high sometimes. And that's the same thing I think with this, where EA just threw too much money at this, and if they would have just left it alone, I think it would have been better, and it would have lasted.
I mean, they were kind of reusing assets anyway, so I don't know why they needed such a big marketing budget for this. I mean, I assume
are you talking
that
about the
most
DLC
of
or
no,
this is the game in general.
just Dead Space 3, because the more that I've read about it, the more that it seems like it was financially set up to fail.
It was.
Just for the amount of money they spend on it, because I mean, it's a horror game, so it's going to be a niche audience anyway.
Yeah,
it's not Call of Duty.
I think it's EA trying to be stupid and just not trying to turn. They were trying to turn it into a Call of Duty,
which is a shame because horror just doesn't. Unless you're Resident Evil, you're not. I mean, is there another like for AAA solid has more than 3, let's say, good games in it horror franchise? I said more than 3 good games.
1 through 4.
Silent Hill 2, Silent Hill 3, Origins.
Yes, 1 through 4 are really good. Homecoming was not that good. Downpour is solid, but it's still it's not that compared to the originals. It's not that good.
See, and 4, I still think about the escort mission in that, and I think that sours me. I mean, maybe if I went back and played 4, I would like it better. But
see, at least when people hear this, they hardly hear my opinion of 4. I'm actually playing 4 in a couple of weeks. We're recording this on October 1st.
Oh, okay. So wow, I didn't even realize that. No, I
found that out today too.
I know that Silent Hill is kind of the franchise that folks point out to, but Silent Hill's been kind of dead for the last 10 or 15 years since 4 ended.
That's Konami.
Yeah, of course, but that still proves my point about are there any other big horror franchises that have had I know that Resident Evil has had some stumbles. Has it? I didn't know that. Is that AAA?
Onimusha horror, though. I think that's just action with.
Okay, first one.
That's like saying Devil May Cry is horror, which it has horror stuff in them, but it's not what you call horror.
That's not the focus of it.
No, it doesn't scare you.
No, I can't think of many. Then I don't also play horror.
I think it's tough to be up against Resident Evil though, because Resident Evil kind of really pushed that.
Yeah,
the survival horror genre and made it a genre. And then Silent Hill came in and was okay, we're going to be more psychological though than I guess 80s horror. They were more 90s Jacob's Ladder, Well, and really more Resident Evil was very Dawn of the Dead, even the original Dawn of the Dead where there's stuff running and but what I mean
and
by
more
that,
alien.
Well, what do you mean?
Because you have a bad corporation Wayland.
Oh yeah. Well, but the thing about Resident Evil, I really like that it can kind of do both. Y'all have seen Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead, right? Because I feel like more
terrible movies,
but here's what I like about that. Other than the first 5 minutes of it when they're playing with Johnny Cash song, but what's very interesting about that is that you have the big grand scale, the city's on fire, we all got to pow, 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 shoot lots of zombies action. But also there's elements of that film where they're in the dark and something could pop out and you might only have 3 or 4 bullets left. Does that make any sense? And if it's one bite, then you're dead. So it's that very anxious pins and needles. There's only one zombie in here, but I don't know where it is kind of scene. And I feel like Resident Evil is capable of doing both in the same game, and not even just because it's zombies, but just the pacing of what it is. Resident Evil 4 is perfect for that, where where you're on an island shooting down helicopters, but you're also down in that basement, and there's that spike monster that's going to grab onto you and just murder you if you make a sound. And I can't really think of a lot of other games or other franchises that can really nail that. And I feel like Dead Space can do one or the other. The first game was more of the latter, where it's survival and it's claustrophobic and it's scary. Yeah. And Dead Space 2 and 3 was very much more of an action type of focus, but it couldn't really do both in the same game. And I really can't think of another series that can effectively do both. So that might also be the issue. Whereas Silent Hill is very much more locked in, and it's primal, and you're just trying to get away from shit, and you don't want to shoot anything, and you don't want to use weapons most of the time because it's not worth it. So I don't know where I was going with that, but I think that might be why it would have a more limited audience. Here I am just talking about games. How dare I talk about games on a games podcast?
I mean, it's very, it's good points for this particular game because, I don't know if EA was just okay, Dead Space, because Dead Space 1 came out at a time where horror games weren't really horror. You had RE4, which, they're more actiony. And I think RE5 released before it too. But then here comes Dead Space, and it's no, this game is freaking scary. This is intense. Yeah. And then I don't know if EA was just great, we did really good. Let's move into Resident Evil territory now. And it's well, Resident Evil had a few years of still being a horror game before they said we need to make this so it doesn't get stale. We need to change the formula.
Oh, and another thing I want to say about this DLC too, before it leaves me, is the whole this kind of goes into unitology. You kind of have a weird boss fight. You get to see some guy cutting off people's hands and stuff for some weird reason. It's got a lot of strange stuff, but it was.
He's got a meat cleaver,
but it was cool.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it.
Now I will say, what's that, Mike? Go ahead.
Just kind of speak more on it, like what you were saying. I mean, it is such a bummer that this doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
It really bothers me sometimes.
I kind of almost wish they would sell the franchise to someone else, and even if it's a more limited budget game, and even if it's shorter, I would love just another 5-6 hour Dead Space, or really even 3 or 4 hour Dead Space to come out every 2 or 3 years. Just something come out, $20, something short and scary and tight. And it just kind of on the next episode of Dead Space, and this is what you get. Spend a much smaller budget on it, but you get a consistent experience, and just kind of explore what you can do with the space of it.
Oh, and this thing just made me so sad.
I didn't mean to do that.
It made me so sad that there was no 4. And I was watching a video that we talked a little bit about it months ago at this point, where it was the talk about what Dead Space 4 could have been or what they had ideas for, and I think this sets it up great. Also, for those that don't know dementia as well, part of dementia when you have severe dementia is hallucinations, where the people who have it do see shit like that. I mean, they don't see moons trying to kill people, but they see, usually they'll see they see their child, they'll think their child oh, you're 20 and the child is 60. You can't have kids. Or they'll look themselves in the mirror and go, that's not me. I'm not that age. And that's a very real thing of dementia. I thought, so they got that right. And I mean, it's not exactly very polite what they're doing, exactly, lack of a better word, but I thought that, to me, that was cool to see that. I was glad to see that back in this game, because I missed that in the previous ones.
In that boss fight arena, if you look, you can see Earth, and every time you go there, there'll be more moons surrounding it.
Oh.
And I don't know, cool. I was looking through the trophy list yesterday after I beat it, and apparently I played this DLC twice, and because there's a trophy for sparing the unitologist leader after that final fight or killing him. And
you can
this time
him?
I just straight up shot him. I don't even remember spare. I only remember playing this once, and the only thing I remembered from it were those little arena-based fights. So
I shot the fucker as soon as the fight, as soon as I just shot him. I was you're okay.
Oh, me too. He was on the ground. I was like, nah, dude, you're gone.
Yeah, there's no sparing after everything you did to me. You made me fighting for 10 minutes in an annoying boss fight. No, you're dead. You cut off people's fucking hands and then put the hands up on the wall. Nah, it's time to kill you.
I also really like at the beginning of the DLC when you're doing it single player, it's the developers heard me from the future, because Carver goes, I think it's better if we split up. Explains why he does not is not there with you the whole game.
That's good.
I also want to go back to that Carver fight. That was a cool fucking fight, though. When you hallucinate and fight Carver, I thought you're really fighting Carver, and it turns out he's in a different room.
Yeah, it fooled me this time, because I was just like, what? I do not remember this at all. You kill this guy? I would
have been okay with it. I wouldn't mind. Fuck Carver.
You didn't like Carver, which I'm I don't know. I feel like Carver is his narrative is kind of finished.
Yeah.
And he felt like generic white guy soldier fella. Like, oh, he's got a dark past. He's got a. I mean, no, I'm glad that they try to give him some depth to being like this absentee father, and he has full of regret and all that. But I don't know if it's just his face or what it is. I mean, he looks like he would be somebody that would be killed in the first cutscene of like a Gears of War game.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
He was not big enough for Gears of War to live past the intro.
He needs shoulders that are out past, like, geez.
Well, that's why he dies in the first cutscene of Gears of War.
Yeah, because he doesn't have big.
He's
enough
not big
shoulders.
enough.
Right.
They're like, we got to get rid of this guy.
Yeah, like
Fucking Gears of War.
Like this guy's
Marcus Phoenix is sliding the locust to tenor, and he's like, "Hey, just this guy to my left."
Carver. Let's just take him out.
I did like him more, his personality more in the DLC versus the main game, though. Like in the main game, he felt a little too tough, and
I
don't know. I thought, like, I was laughing at some of his lines of this, like, where he's like, "Let's go, dead guy."
You know,
there was some funny shit.
I feel like you could have more fun with that the character as long as you lean into the fact that yes, I am white guy video game space marine dude. I feel like you could kind of hang like a lampshade on that, which they do a little bit here. I feel like, you know, just bump it all the way over since he's kind of already had his redemption arc and you're not going to kill him. Then just make him kind of a parody of himself. Would have a lot more fun with it. Don't everybody talk at once.
So the guy who kind of like Glenn Schofield is his name. I don't know. I think he like created the IP of Dead Space. He's coming out with a new game in December called the Callisto Protocol.
Oh yeah,
It looks cool, but it looks exactly like Dead Space.
I'm okay with that. I'm completely okay with that.
Not allowed to do it. Let him do. You know,
like
do his own thing.
I watched. They recently released a trailer as of October 1st, and I watched it. And like one of the shots has like the blood writing on the wall, and it says "shoot off their tentacles." Like,
oh my god!
Right, like,
which I talked about in the first Dead Space episode, in the way that they just beat you over the fucking head with it.
Well, I mean,
yeah,
it's everywhere, and it's on the radio.
That was so iconic, though. Like when that first came out, like I believe that was like one of the like first shots of the game that you like they were marketing was like, you know, it said "shoot off their limbs,"
right?
And it was like, oh, we're getting like they were basically pushing like this is a capital M mature rated game. Like you will be
dismembering.
Dismembering things.
I'm excited. I mean, I won't play Callisto Protocol for a very, very long time because it's me. But it has. I'm excited to see what that guy will do with making another Dead Space game.
Well, that can usually go one of two ways. Is you either get like a Thimbleweed Park out of that, where it's like this beautiful homage to the magnum opus that they had made in their past, or you get Mighty Number 9. So,
okay, Mighty Number 9 is there's multiple reasons why that game is bad, but that
but
also
you catch what I'm throwing here. It's not.
Like
no, I know what you mean.
It's not an unprecedented thing.
Man, I hope it's not. I'm waiting on reviews for it. I hope it is not like Mighty Number 9.
No,
like, if it is
Mighty Number 9 wasn't even made by Keiji Inafune.
But
he was
saying,
he was the face of that whole campaign.
He was the face of it, but he was
like,
he worked for a company that put people together to raise the money for it, but he didn't actually have anything to do with the production, really.
Yeah. But you know they were shooting for Mega Man.
They were, and they failed terribly.
To do Mega Man, and they did. Which it just feels like
I haven't played it though, so I shouldn't say it.
It feels like people doing fan games of their own past work. And it can either be really good or really bad. And my first thought of the ones that nailed it was like Thimbleweed Park. But if you're a fan of like those types of games, those old LucasArts games, then that is just it's flawless for what it is, because it was made by the people that originally made Maniac Mansion. And it's been done to death, but it's definitely split. Sometimes it works out really, really well, and sometimes it just shits the bed. There doesn't seem to be a lot of middle ground.
Yeah,
I know what you mean. But I'm excited for it. Like, I'm just glad to see that we're getting more, I guess, base horror, because I like that.
It has to, It has to suck for him, though, because, like, they announced that game before the Dead Space remake was even, rumored at. And so, like, he's like, okay, everyone misses Dead Space. Here is a game that is like Dead Space. And then that comes out in December. And then the Dead Space remake is supposed to come out the very next month. So
Well,
it's just like, that's like very tough competition for them because it's like, well, do people wait for the IP that they already know and that they'll like? Or do they go with this one that's like...
I think the way that will help them is the big EA on the box will help them.
Yep. Marketing.
Way. Yeah.
Marketing.
People are not fans of EA in general.
This is true.
I think people have come around on EA since Activision has kind of entered the ring of like
they've
most
taken over
terrible company in the world, and EA has been like doing a lot of goodwill stuff lately. So
yeah,
we'll see.
I mean,
we keep
I
talking
just hope
about everything but this game.
It's not. I mean, it's a mini. There's not a whole lot to say about this DLC. I just wanted to cover it because we could, and because people, when I asked for questions, comments back then, people were like, "You need to play to get the real ending." And since the fact that I paid $5 and played it, we're recording something. But so
yeah, I want to talk to those people directly. Bring up that person's name who said it sucks you had to pay for the real ending. This was not the real ending to the game.
No, this is. I know.
Like,
it wasn't.
This is the trailer for Dead Space 4 that we're never getting.
Yeah,
basically.
This is like Dead Space 4 is a year out. Here is like a downloadable content you can play that will kind of show you what we're doing in the next game.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it though.
It's good.
No, I liked it.
Sad.
Even I would say even if you paid full price for it, you definitely get your $10 worth for like an hour. Like I loved the gameplay in this better than I liked Dead Space 3. I liked the story of Dead Space 3 more than I liked this. Does that make any sense?
It does, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll go with it. I also like they brought back the kid enemies in this one too.
Oh yeah. Oh shit.
You had a small moment. You had them. You had more of the raptors.
Well, that's like them just being scary. Like I said, I liked that it was attempting at the very least to try to go back to its roots a little bit and be a little more scary.
I think it worked.
I think so too. And I really wish that I could have gotten this scary Dead Space 4. And I really wish that we could have done that. They could have swung for the fences a bit on Dead Space 4 and do what I said in the aforementioned sort of Resident Evil 4 thing, where they try to do a little bit of both. Where, I mean, it's the same element, so why not try to make something that has moments that are very slow, intense, and quiet, and terrifying, and also like just balls out action, mow some shit down, fun, you know?
I would have
loved to have seen
developers do what they want.
Oh, isn't that a novel concept?
Yeah. There's a YouTube series called What Happened, and he covered Dead Space 3.
Yes.
If you guys watched that, yeah. It is like I'm a person who really enjoys Dead Space 3, but watching that video, I was just like, man, EA should not have been anywhere near this team. Like this team should have been left alone to do their thing. But I think after Visceral shut down, I want to say, unless it was a fever dream, but like some concept art of Dead Space 4 leaked or got revealed. It was kind of like showing more of what, like, I think they had shown like the planet you were going to be on or around. I'll have to look more into it, but
okay.
Yeah. But I thought I remembered going online shortly after after they had been closed and seeing like, oh, this is what we were going to do next.
I'm not surprised. I mean, stuff always leaks, and once your job no longer exists, you have less of a desire to, not leak stuff.
Yeah. It's just a shame that, I mean, it's a problem with the industry as a whole. Like, it's too secretive. So, like, when projects get canceled, the devs are still under NDAs and can't, like, show off what they were doing,
Not till years and years later. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just a shame.
I actually talked with one of the guys that was working on the Highlander game that got canceled. And I remember he was like, I can't send you on here, but he's like, if you want to talk afterwards, I might have some, pictures of concept art I could show you. So like,
man.
That's a game that I'm so sad never existed. Oh, broke my heart. All right, anything to say about Dead Space we got left? Otherwise, I think we might be done.
Yeah, I think I've said everything I possibly can about Dead Space.
Okay.
I know it's stupid, but I really do think like if 4 was going to have more of the moons is the enemy. I don't know. There's just the concept of like an enemy that is a moon-sized or planet-sized like eldritch horror that is just like yeah, that'd be cool to fight, or that'd be cool to like, try to be like, what can you do about this?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of ways that you could go with that. I assume that you would, it would be very interesting, and this is just me being fanboy pitching right off the top of my head. What if you land on one of the big moons and you basically have to like drill your way down to it, like journey to the center of the earth, but like horrors, and there's bigger and crazier horrors. So by the time you get to the core of the moon, there's like the giant heart that's covered in tentacles, and then you got to blow that thing up like the Death Star, and then the game ends with you crawling back out of your own holes as the thing like crumbles around you. That could be a fun concept to do. Sort of like the Colossus game. Why can't I think of that? Shadow of the Colossus. Except the entire game is like one big being that you're on, and it's like a puzzle to figure out. There's other monsters that are crawling around and through it. You're trying to work your way to the center of this moon to like kill the whole damn thing.
That could be cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Elevator pitch,
And we will be covering more Dead Space in the future because there's still the Extraction game for Wii and PS3. If I can convince you, if I'll be playing it with a mouse.
All right, fine. I'll play it, Mike.
Okay.
I'll suffer with the PlayStation.
And then there's the 2 movies.
Shock.
Oh, we got to watch movies now. I've never been on.
There's 2 Dead Space movies.
I've seen the first one. It was on Netflix forever ago.
It is.
It is no longer on Netflix.
It is currently, but it's with German. I think they're German subtitles.
Oh, wait, it's on American Netflix still?
I don't think so, but it's been on here for a year on YouTube, but it's there, the whole movie.
I watched that and read one of the books before Dead Space 3 came out, and the book I read had such poor spell checking.
Oh my god.
Like it would be a word, but like the letters would just be like kind of switched around. And I was like, is this like an intentional? Well, I was like, is this intentional to be like, to kind of give you the effect of like this character is experiencing hallucinations, or was this just a rush job, capitalize on the franchise?
Yeah, there's Dead Space Downfall, which takes place before the first game. Then there's Dead Space Aftermath, which takes place before the second game. So that's all we have left are those 3 things of Dead Space, and then we're completely done with the franchise.
Well, I'm along for this ride. If you want me to be on it, I thought we were all done with it. I thought this was it. Yeah. We got more Dead Space.
If we want to, yeah. I've never seen the movie.
We can always, sure, let it rip.
Mike, you can always put Dead Space Remake on.
Not anytime soon, but yeah. All right, then we should go to Shelf Stacker Box, and Nate, why don't you go first for the DLC?
Stack.
Okay.
It's fun, inconsequential to the whole game.
And I'll go next. I'm also going to put in the stack. It was fine. I had fun, but yeah, I'll never play it again, so I'm good. And you, Cody?
Well, you're going to be not surprised by this. Stack. I could have more to say to that. I don't know what else to do.
I know this is hard because there wasn't a whole lot to this DLC.
There's not too much to say about it. You're like, yeah, it was pretty good. It's worth $10. It's about an hour long. You get like a little bit of story. Yeah. Carver's funnier, and Ellie's ass is missing. So I don't know what to do with this.
And you can
I wouldn't have done it if it wouldn't have went on sale right after we just got done playing 3 and I was in the Dead Space mood. I don't think I wouldn't have bought it, and I would have just moved on with my life. But
I would say, if you're playing Dead Space 3 anyway, might as well just get this and add like another hour to gameplay time because it really doesn't feel like a whole other thing. But
and it carries over your save, like all your equipment, and everything, which is we didn't talk about. But so I was trying to finish upgrading my rig. I'm apparently 1 mode away from fully upgrading my rig, but I'm not. I don't give a shit about Steam achievements. I'm not like I'm going to play again. But I am 1 thing away.
The chapter titles, it spells out RIP.
Oh, nice.
That's fun.
Nothing will beat Nicola's Dead. Nothing.
Yeah, no, I feel like
I really wish that they probably would have dropped that because they could have added like another chapter or 2, and I would have, still enjoyed playing the DLC.
So
it was a rush.
So it could have been ripe.
It could have been ripe, yeah.
Like a banana.
Ripen.
Terrifying.
Oh, right. And if you want to hear all us talk about Dead Space, let me pull up those old episodes I completely forgot to do. Dead Space 3 was episode 194? Yeah, 194 for Dead Space 3. I don't remember what the other ones are, but I will
Just
know
search
shortly.
Dead Space. I've been on the Metal Gear Solid one, Alice in Wonderland, or not Alice in Wonderland. Alice.
You're an Alice.
Alice the scary one.
A long ass time ago.
American McGee's Alice.
Dead Space 2, 145, and then Dead Space was 93. We've done one each year, and now we've got Extraction, which who knows when that will be, and then we got the 2 movies at some point.
Sweet.
So, that I don't know if I want to watch, but I feel like I feel like I should watch all video game movies since there aren't that many and cover them, especially ones that are connected with games that I've covered.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
But the Dead Space movies are part of the canon of the series.
I feel like you could do some other sort of video game adjacent movies. Those seems like it'd be, do like
I just
Ready
do random
Player.
movies all the time.
Just do like Ready
We did-
Player One and
Want to, but I
Detective Pikachu. You need like a pop culture expert to do Ready Player One. Like just listing the references and like.
or just someone with their phone and Wikipedia open.
Don't ruin my secrets.
Oh, damn it!
point.
Oh.
But no, I do a lot of movies. We did The Thing at the time you're hearing this for a while ago. Like I do other random stuff too that isn't video games. Like we did Reanimator for horror last year.
You did The Thing on Halloween this year. It was a great episode. Amazing. One of my favorite horror movies of all time.
Now I really want to play that
favorite
PS game.
One of my favorite movies of all time, all right, is The Thing. And there's many reasons why, but that movie is damn near flawless.
I want to see the prequel that came out in 2011 with Ramona Flowers in it, but I have not.
It's better than you think it is, but it's not. Okay. The main issue is that the monsters. Well, that too, but the monsters aren't physical puppets, and they actually made puppets for the movie and didn't use them, which is just so
stupid.
It's so sad. Physical
I think that was because
always better.
That was the time where we hadn't really gone back to practical effects. I feel like now we're starting. People are realizing
during that time, but now Hollywood sort of went back and they embraced a lot of the practical.
Yeah, you're getting puppet stuff like the new Star Wars. I think there was puppet stuff in the new Star Wars movies too.
Yeah,
yeah.
No, it's definitely it's definitely getting a lot better with that. For any sort of like practical puppet effects, just employing artists who can build cool, realistic looking things. Yeah. But that's a whole other thing. We should do if you ever want like an off the wall, just amazing movie, Triangle, which was a British movie, and I don't want to spoil too much, but time traveling horror movie.
Oh, okay.
One of my favorite, again, maybe top 5 favorite movies of all time. But Triangle is in there, along with the movie Hostiles. I
won't watch Hostile.
What's that?
I won't watch Hostile.
No, Hostiles, which is a Western movie starring.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so Oregon Trail, but a movie. Okay, it is the only roguelike movie I've ever seen in my entire life. It's very, very weird, but just a little fun.
All right, and Cody, where can people find you at?
You can find me on TikTok, apparently. I got famous out there, man.
Cool.
I did not expect that. I was doing it for fun. I think the last 3 or 4 podcasts I've done, I'm like, you can go find me on TikTok. I've been on there just making little dum-dum videos. And now at this point, I have like 47,000 followers. It'll probably be more unless I got canceled by the time this comes out. Wait for that. Oh, man, y'all are going to find out what I used to do, and they are going to kick me out. No, but really, I'm on there. Search Cajun Crippler. I'm on there. I'm always making little dum-dum videos. I'm making one video per day until they shadow ban me or I get bored of doing it. For now, I'm doing that. I currently have a book in the works. It's called Harangi Fire, which is a Korean Viking fantasy novel. There's probably some information about it on my TikTok at the time of releasing this. Pre-orders have closed for it by the time this comes out, but I'm going to be trying to figure out a pre-order link to order it beforehand. If you do pre-order, I'm going to autograph every single one of my every single book in that pre-order myself. And if you ask nicely, I will even sign your favorite swear word in there. Is it heck? Is it nincompoop?
You can swear in here. I don't care. As long as you can say certain words, I have to edit out. So.
Is it troglodyte? Whatever your favorite swear word is, I will write it for you because I care. But other than that, watch that. It's a Korean Viking fantasy novel. It started out as a joke and it got funded. Out of spite, it is written out of pure spite. And I want to spoil everything about it all the time to everyone I meet because this story is so cool and it's living inside of my brain and it's wanting to claw out like a.
That's writing.
And I love it. I love it so much. And so, yeah, I am writing that book, and I think that's pretty good. You should look for it this summer, coming to probably no bookstores, but check out my TikTok about it.
Will you make each chapter title spell out "fuck you, racists and homophobes"?
Yes, Nate. I'm gonna have 58 chapters, so I can do that. But basically, kinda, yeah, but not with the. There are some Easter eggs in there that if
the first letter of every page spells "fuck you."
Spells "fuck you." I love it, man. I have so many good lines that I want to share, but I don't want somebody to steal them. I'm going to tell you a few of them after we go off air because that's how much I love this.
Okay, that's fine. I always wanted to be a writer. That was one of my passions when I was a kid.
Do it.
Well, high school. I wrote a book. I planned to go down. I wrote fuck it. I'll put this on there. I wrote because I saw that we were talking about the zombie movie by Zack Snyder. I saw it. I got pissed off, and I wrote my own book because I was pissed off.
Fuck yeah, you did.
It took me years. I wrote a full novel about a zombie apocalypse, but unfortunately it doesn't exist anymore because it's on old computers, and I was editing it. I was having people read it and edit it for me. I was going to try to get published, but things were different in 2006 where I don't think you couldn't self-publish yourself. You had to get a publisher to sign on to you.
Right.
And I was 18. I had a kid on the way. I mean, I didn't care. I was like, I need to make money. And then my life moved on. But I had a ton of short stories. I had a novel that I wrote. I loved writing. Unfortunately, that's long gone at this point. Now I do this.
Now I will say
chapter of your novel spelled out "fuck you, Zack Snyder."
No, it did not. But
I thought was brave.
Very, very bold choice. Very bold choice, Mike.
It's one of those things.
I'm going to tell you what I've told everybody else who has said this, because I've had people comment on my videos and saying, "Man, this makes me want to start writing. I used to like to do it. I used to do it. Fucking do it. Absolutely fucking."
That's what my wife tells me.
Do it right now. No, okay. Think about this. All right, 30 minutes per day. Right, that's about 500 words. Right. If you can dedicate an hour per day, good or bad, 1 hour per day is 1,000 words, right? Right?
Yeah.
No, that's
I know. It's just that
1,000. Okay, but
because I do this show,
but just hypothetically, and to anyone listening to this, if you were to hypothetically spend 1 hour a day just writing words, good or bad, whatever, in 3 months you would have 90,000 words. That is more words than the first Harry Potter book. 3 months. I'm goddamn serious.
No, you're right.
Sit down and do it. Like I said, if it's 30 minutes per day, that is 500 words. You have written the equivalent of the first Harry Potter book in under 6 months. Think about how much time you spend on your phone, how much time you do watching a show. You could sit down 30 minutes, write out 500 words, good, bad, or otherwise. You can technically get it done. And that's to anybody listening to this at all. Do it. Fucking do it. I'm bullying you. Fucking do it. You're going to feel better. It's going to make you feel amazing. Do it.
If I can retire, that's going to be my goal is to write something. Like Robert Lundlund. I think it's Robert Lundlund. The guy that wrote Born. He didn't write until he retired. That's my goal.
It doesn't matter, man. I'm telling you, anybody can find 30 minutes per day to do the thing that they do.
Oh, I find about an hour to 3 hours a day to do the thing I love doing.
To play video games and do your pod. That's why I'm not being as hard on you directly. I want people listening to my voice right now to hear what I'm saying, and hopefully they get inspired for it. I know at least 2 people on TikTok who I've said the exact same thing to, and I said, do it, fucking do it, do it, sit down.
So did you tell Cody Laveau he should write a book too? Your buddy Cody Laveau?
Cody Laveau? Yeah.
On YouTube. Okay.
Oh yeah. That guy, I don't know what happened to him. He made a movie or something and he disappeared.
I think he's still around. He just changed his name.
He's still around. Yeah, he's doing something. Cody Laveau.
He's got to make that joke every time.
I love it.
All right. And thank you everyone for listening to this very random ass mini, but that happens. If you enjoyed this episode, go check out the Dead Space episode. We have over 350 other episodes. Maybe by the time you hear this, we have almost 400. I'm getting close. I'm very not numbered, but just the amount of content I release, I'm getting close to 400.
Stuff.
I'm crazy. So with the show, so there's all that. I want to give a shout out to my awesome intro and outro, courtesy of Helena. You can at Hell Hathsphere. You can follow her on TikTok. She's also became TikTok famous recently too. So I know two people now that got TikTok famous.
Word.
I have to say, I know if you're already listening, you've already heard the intro and outro music, but the intro and outro music to the show is just, it's so good.
It is. I love the fact that she made it for this show. Like, it makes me so happy that she did that. So it's not going anywhere. So, but no, I'm very happy with it. I really like it. I like the fact that every time, Mike, turn down your games. But all right, and also want to shout out to my buddy Bill Tucker, who did the MCU movies with me. You can follow. He started his own podcast, Gamer Looks at 40, where he interviews people how video games affect their life. Very well done show. Definitely check him out. And also, please, we have a Patreon, so go join us. We have a poll every month for a little $1. Help out the show. I have no idea what it'll be when this comes up. And we also have a Discord. Join our Discord and chat with us. You can talk about Dead Space if you want. After 3 months after we played this and have no idea what you're talking about, feel free. And please follow Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and on YouTube, audio only. But we are on YouTube, and I think that's everything I need to say. So we will see you guys all next time.
All right, Mike. I am too honky for this honky. I am out. Later, fellas. Take it easy.
Fuck.
We'll take it easy.
Or in the words of Cody, if it's easy,
take it twice.
All right, bye, everybody.
Bye.